And there he
Hey,
is.
Dean.
The Blandino.
So it's great to see you guys. Let me just jump in. We'll jump right in. When you're at the airport, right, and the flight is delayed, is it the gate agent's fault? No.
Yeah.
No!
No. But
Sometimes.
who takes all the crap?
Yeah.
Right? That's
Dean
what I am. I'm
Blandino.
a gate agent.
Pereira.
Hey, don't crowd the boarding area. If you're in zone 6, get the hell out of the way. Let's go. We got to police. We got to do a better job of people that need extra help to get on the plane. Because I see some of these people, I'm like, you don't need extra help. You're fine. But anyway.
Well, Dean, isn't the other annoying thing when people you're sitting, and I know you're probably up in first class most of the time, but when people want to jimmy jam and get from the back, and they act like they got a tight connection, so they sprint to the front. That's the part that is it rude to just stand up there and say you ain't going past me? Because that's annoying too.
I will throw out if I see somebody inching, if I'm in row 12 and you're in row 13 or behind me, you're not going before me. I will throw the arm out and I will protect everybody from row 12 on. It's not happening, buddy.
And then
we could do a whole, trust me, we could do a whole thing.
What else annoys you about travel? Dean, you have something else on your mind. What's your other, we'll just go one more. What else annoys you about travel?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like when I travel, I'm around people who it's their first day on Earth, and this is like never seen this. What do I do? Do I take my shoe? I get it. Not everybody travels as much, but whatever. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about Packers Bears.
So were you here on? I thought I saw a photo of you and Burkhardt and Aaron Andrews. Well,
I was there.
What?
I didn't know where you were. I know. We were there. We usually just come in the day before. It's not, Green Bay's not an easy place to get to, so it's a long day of travel. Flying through Minneapolis, we actually had a 3-hour layover at MSP, and a couple of us flying from LAX, and we had a whole itinerary. We hit a couple of different spots. We had a little bar crawl in MSP. It was fun.
That's a nice little airport.
Yeah, nice little airport.
Hey, Dean, why before we get into Micah's holding and a couple of the other calls, how come we haven't seen you buried in the corner? When Brady and Burkhardt are doing it,
I know.
What is going on? Did they move you out of there, or is that not?
No. I'm still in the corner. I think depending on the booth, some booths are bigger than others. They can put that second camera. I think I kind of like the awkward shot of the weird guy in the back, but I guess they kind of went away from it. But we'll see. Maybe we'll bring it back. But I'm like literally, I'm to Brady's right if you're facing the field, and so I can communicate with them pretty easily during the game.
All right, let's start.
My first quick one, and then Jason, go ahead. The interception that wasn't by Evan Williams, the ball never hit the ground, Dean, did it? Like, what did you see when you were looking at it?
Yeah, that was such a weird ruling. They ruled catch, fumble, recovered by the Bears, which that didn't make any sense because obviously the Packers had it. And then they looked at it and say, okay, it wasn't a catch because he didn't have, we dealt with the catch rule and all this stuff, and he didn't make a football move. I think the ball probably did hit the ground, but there was never a real shot that showed that it hit the ground. But since they ruled fumble, you assume that it hit the ground, and that's why they went incomplete. It was an unusual ruling on the field. I thought you either rule that a catch, fumble recovered by the Packers, or you rule it an interception, and that certainly I think would have stood at that point.
Well, and the way that Craig Rolstead announced it, he never actually said that the Packers challenged it either. Because it wasn't a fumble of change of possession, which, as we all know, would have been an automatic review. So it wasn't that. And Evan Williams swears the ball never touched the ground and that he had possession. Now, of course, Evan Williams would think that because he would like to have the turnover. But I'm fascinated by the fumble discussion as a whole because I think back to the playoff game against Philly, and it sure looks like that overhead camera angle shows Keyshawn Nixon recovering that opening fumble, right, on the kickoff.
No question. And yet they
didn't get to keep the ball. So I don't understand how that part of it, like the whole idea and the reason why, not only because we want you to officiate all future weddings in our families, but also
Clearly.
the reason we're friends with you is because we're smarter when we talk to you. I don't understand why there are still so many instances where replays get it wrong if the whole point of having a replay is to get it right.
Yeah, look, you're still dealing with judgment. The whole point of replay was to try to create objective standards, right? The ball hit the ground, the foot's on the sideline, the knee is down. And now when you start dealing with catch, no catch, and fumble down by contact, and you're dealing with judgment, was the ball loose? Was it moving? So you're still just replacing one person's judgment, the on-field official, with another person's judgment, whoever's making that decision in replay. Yeah, they have more resources. They have more angles. So it's never going to be perfect. And we could look at 10 plays and disagree on half of them. It's just that's part of the deal. I think you do want to have a consistent standard. It should jump out. If you're going to change something, then it really should jump out where we could take, the old Mike Holmgren said it, 50 guys in a bar, if they can agree on it, which, it's tough. You got to find a bar. I don't know where you're going to find that bar, but if they can agree on it, then you overturn it. And I think that's kind of the standard that you need to apply.
Yeah,
Minneapolis Airport. That's where you find that bar.
Several bars.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you're right. Yeah. High-Low Diner. They have breakfast all day, full bar.
Nice. You would have definitely found 50 guys at a bar that agreed that Jerry Rice fumbled in that 1998 playoff game in San Francisco, which led to the return of replay.
Yeah, that's a throwback that Jason loves.
Yeah. Speaking of throwbacks, back when Old T played, which we know was a long, long time ago, there were times where it depended on the level of quality matchup and broadcast to decide how many cameras you had to work with. And I felt a little throwback, old school, on the Luke Musgrave incompletion where the only angle I saw had some guy's head in the foreground from the sideline.
That was really close. Look, it's another one. You're absolutely right. Again, does it jump out? I think on that one angle, you can make a case that the ball might have been loose, hit the ground. I'm still, if that's not the Fox game of the week, do we even have that camera? Probably not. And I think I think the theory is, okay, the two teams playing the game, they're playing under the same set of circumstances. But then you get other, maybe it's a division, the Lions are playing the Vikings and they don't have as many cameras. So that's just part of the deal. But yeah, that was one where probably if it's not a game of the week or primetime game, we probably don't have that angle.
All right, Dean. So Packer fans are irritated that Micah Parsons, I think there have been 3 holding calls. Nobody can block him, right? Everybody's got a chip. And it's very difficult for anybody. Can you kind of go through, because I would always ask the officials when they'd come in during training camp, what are you looking for? And the best thing that I've heard from any ref ever say is, if your feet aren't beat, we're not going to call a hold. That was kind of the deal. If you keep your feet in front, really, the rip move that Mike has got, I don't mind when they don't call holding on that. What do you see? And do Packer fans have a viable complaint that he doesn't draw? Because he's not one of these guys that flails his arms up, whips his head back, and sells it. And refs do look at that too, right?
No question. And I think, look, this goes back to when he played at Dallas, and there was a stretch maybe 2 years ago. There was something that he hasn't had a hold in 17 games in a row, whatever it is. But that's absolutely right. What the officials and this whole thing, you could call holding on at any play, every play. No, you can't. There is, better than me, right? As part of blocking, you grab, right? You grab cloth. Yes. But if your feet aren't beat, if you stay square and you keep your feet in front of the defender and you keep moving and stay square, you're good. That's exactly what that official told you is absolutely right. It's now when that defender gets beyond and gets outside your frame, and now you're stretched and you see that kind of the two jerseys, the colors separate. Now, if you don't let him go, now there's the restriction. It's, and then we take into consideration, is that the point of attack? Does it have an effect on the play? So all those things go into holding. And like you said, the rip move, if the defender rips, and that forces your arm as the offensive lineman up there, and that's just part of the deal. It's not a hold unless you then take them down, take their feet, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, Mike, does Micah get held more than is getting called? Absolutely. Is he so good? And I think this may be part of, he can he can work through those holds so it doesn't look as much in terms of restriction, maybe. But there's a lot that goes into holding. I think it'll kind of balance out. A player that is that good is going overtime, is going to get those holding calls. He's going to get his sacks. He's going to get his pressures. But yeah, I know it's frustrating sometimes when you see something like, man, that's holding, and we don't see the flag.
Talking with Dean Blandino on Wilde Tausch. Dean, I am curious, and I'm not saying that we should turn this into the NBA, where I saw, was it Isaiah Hartenstein, who there's a rebound and the guy swings his arm like 2 feet over his head and then he pretends to fall down like he's been hit in the face. I'm not suggesting that. But is there something to Tausch's theory that you got to sell the bluff? You got to sell the holding call. And you just said it. Like, I think Micah Parsons is like, blank you, I still can get through you and get to the quarterback even if you do hold me. But I think back to Zadarius Smith. Tausch mentioned him earlier in the week. He should have gotten a daytime Emmy for some of his acting jobs on holding calls. Is there value for a pass rusher to do that?
I would say no. I think officials, we always taught officials, we always look like that reaction. You're not officiating that. Just officiate the action that you see in front of you. You're looking for restriction. And a lot of times it can go the other way. When a play, we always told when we would meet with teams and talk to defensive players, fight through that, because if you throw your hands up and give up on the play, right, then the official isn't going to see that as restriction. You're giving up. So fight through that. The restriction will present itself, and then you'll get the call. So I think players get reputations when they do that. When they do that over time, and then you kind of become immune to it. So from an officiating perspective, it probably over time doesn't help. Could you get a call? Sure. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say it hasn't happened. Sure, you could get a call. You'll see sometimes when that happens, but I would say over time that's probably not a great. Just continue to fight through it, and and the officials should see it more often than not.
Dean, do you think that there's going to be a point where it's going to be reviewed, the roughing the passer? Because I think we saw the pass interference. That's a debacle. You can't review that. I don't want where you're reviewing holding calls or whatnot. But the blows to the head, some of these that aren't judgments, do you envision where the league is going to get involved in that? Or how do you think that shakes itself out?
Yeah, I do. And I think that's where you start. I think they're doing some of that now, where with defenseless players, if there's contact to the head neck, if that's the call, then replay. If there's absolutely no contact, they're trying to keep it very objective. They can assist and pick up that flag. It doesn't happen very often, but I do think that's where you start. If you want to get involved in replay with some of these more subjective calls, you start with player safety, roughing the passer, hits on defenseless players, those types of things, face masks, and then you can go from there. But I agree. You can't. To review holding, we saw what happened with pass interference. It's just, it is very subjective. And if you don't have a consistent standard, which that's what happened back in 2019, they just never could apply a consistent standard. It's going to be a debacle. And that was, that was out 1 year, done. And I haven't seen a change like that not even get voted on the following year. That's how bad it was.
Dean, last thing before we let you go. I'm fascinated and supportive of, however you want to view it, expedited review, sky judge is what Tausch likes to call it. I just think that this has been really smart by the league, even though I feel like there was not a whole lot of discussion. It just certainly kind of appeared. I'm curious, is there the mechanism in place to do it quickly enough? Or can you not do what you do in college where you stop the play as it's about to be snapped? Because there are instances where I see coaches have to burn challenges that it kind of feels like they shouldn't have to. Like it feels fairly obvious, and I find myself wondering, well, why didn't get involved already, and why did LaFleur have to throw that challenge? Am I off base wondering that?
No, and I think that's what they're trying to do, and I agree. I love the expedited review. That's when we canvass fans and we talk to fans. Remember, we did a study in 2016 at the league office about what fans liked about the game and didn't like, and it was game flow. It was unnecessary stoppages. It was, the constant stop and start, which we know football has some of that already baked in. And so the expedited review is great. I think they're trying to help and prevent some challenges. And again, I think we see some situations where you don't want to go too fast, because they had a play Sunday night where a replay came in and assisted, and they were actually wrong. And then the Chiefs challenged, and it was a whole big mess. So you don't want to go too fast, but you certainly want to step in and prevent a coach from having to challenge when it's obvious. And I think that's the key. If it jumps out, ruling on the field is a catch, ball skips in, it's clear, okay, radio down, incomplete pass, coach doesn't have to throw the flag, and the game keeps moving. So I think they're working on it. It's a work in progress, and I think we're going to see more of that.
All right, I lied.
Dean, you are the judge. You help us get all of our judgments done. And Jesse, on Sunday, during the Packers-Bears game,
oh boy,
he had his mommy and his daddy over to the house,
okay,
and he had a conundrum that I think was ridiculous. Jesse, will you tell Dean what time you ordered the pizza, and if Dean would agree that you totally mismanaged how you approached your pizza pickup?
Hi, Dean. My mom insisted that we order the pizza at halftime because she wanted hot pizza. She wasn't going to be hungry at 3:25, so we had to wait till halftime to order the pizza. I called it in because the Bears went on a long drive before the 2-minute warning, so I called it in at the 2-minute warning. They said 15 minutes. It was like 8 minutes from my house. I said, perfect. So I went over there. It was not ready in 15 minutes. It took more like 45 or 50 minutes before it was actually ready. By the time I got back, there was like 20 seconds left in the third quarter. I missed the entire third quarter. I was very irritated with everyone involved. And
He was mad at his mom.
I take
Dean.
zero responsibility for it. I think it was everyone else's fault for why I missed the third quarter of the game.
I love your mom. She's amazing. I don't even know her, but I love her, right? It's just ordering pizza at halftime is just, it's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. It's a little, right? The pizza, I feel like you want the pizza to show up for kickoff, right? And now we got, and then you can, and then we have the pizza all game, order a little more than what you think. Now we could have some cold pizza in the second half. We can, throw some in the microwave after the game, So although maybe when you called, you weren't firm enough with the pizza place to say, hey, I can't, you're telling me 15 minutes. This is really important. Maybe it's your fault. I don't know.
I'm glad you came around at the end there. I was very concerned about your answer.
I thought he was Team Jesse
I
for
felt
too
good
long
about
there.
that for a minute, but now he's wanting me to drop a, hey, do you know who
Well,
I
look,
am
when you
to the
say
pizza
the place
place?
the place is 8 minutes away, and yeah. So mom's like, okay, halftime. We've got the second half. I'm in with it. Maybe you should have thought ahead and said, okay, Mom, we're gonna order some food before the game, and then we'll order the pizza.
That's what I wanted to do, and she
everybody's
declined
happy.
it. She expedited review. She said, no, we're ordering it at halftime.
Well, clearly, like NFL replays, that pizzeria can't get their stuff together and can't get it done. And we're sitting here waiting when the ball hit the ground and everybody sees it.
Should have expedited it.
Expedite review.
Dean, I'm glad that you've been able to spend time with two of the greatest members of the 2000 NFL draft class, Tom Brady earlier in the week, and now Mark Tauscher. Thanks for making time for us. We appreciate
Very
it.
blessed.
What round were you, Tausch? What round did you? I'm going to give
24 picks after Tom Brady.
Oh, you were after Brady. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So
Very
let him know
similar-
he's always welcome if you two want to
Very
kind of come on
similar
at the same
careers,
time.
Better value on the
Very
Tausch
Very
pick.
similar.
Yeah.
Similar careers. I'll talk to him.
I don't
I'll
know
let him
about
know.
that. I would
Thanks,
disagree
Dean.
with that. Thank you, Dean.
See you guys.